When one hears the words AP and formatting so close together in a sentence, their mind might immediately jump to MLA. That's where my head initially went during the first introduction I had to this topic. Having nothing to do with College Board, the AP here stands for Associated Press. It's the most common style used when creating news articles for a number of publications. Journalists stick to this set of guidelines for the purposes of being clear, accurate, and concise. If you look at it closely, it's quite a bit different than what you'd be used to writing in a formal essay. So, without further ado, let's jump right into how to use AP formatting in your journalistic writing. Abbreviations have their own specific roles in AP style writing. As is shown here, each state has a special AP abbreviation. January, February, August, September, October, November, and December each have their own forms as well. The rest of the months are short enough to remain the same. When writing out dates in general, the day will appear as just a figure. Leave out the usual TH, ND, or ST. Don't use the word yesterday if the event happened one day prior to writing the article. If the event occurred within the past 7 days, use the day of the week instead of the date. When writing days of the week, don't abbreviate them, but do capitalize them. If the event happened a week or more prior to writing the article, you must include the month and date. Never use courtesy titles such as Mr. or Miss on first introduction. Really try to avoid courtesy titles anywhere aside from direct quotes. With professional and honorary titles, capitalize them only when they come before the name of the person they reference. They're lowercase if they stand alone as well. Most titles are spelled out completely, but here's a list of ones to abbreviate. Use quotation marks rather than italics when referencing outside works such as books or songs. Use italics rather than quotation marks when referencing other publications or the Bible. Datelines come at the beginning of stories when information comes from outside of the publication's area. They include an entirely capitalized city and a lowercase state. There are 30 cities that don't need to be followed by a state, and here they are. Measurements use figures for the number but spell out entire units. For distance, spell out numbers under 10. For the rest, use figures. Never begin a sentence with a figure unless it is referring to a year. When using numbers to order items, spell them out until you reach 10. Then use figures. Always use figures when referring to money. When it comes to punctuation, only use one space after each period. Commas are avoided before conjunctions in a simple series, but not complex ones. When talking about exact times, which are often unnecessary, spell out noon at midnight. Use figures for the rest, but don't put the extra :00 after hours. Just say 1 p.m. instead of 1 o'clock p.m. There are plenty of other little things that are extremely specific, like the spelling of whiskey and the correct way to write Facebook, but I think we've hit most of the important points. So with that out of the way, we can address some of the important parts of the journalistic writing process. When writing a news article, you're going to start with a lead. There are a couple of different types of leads you can go with based on the type of story you're discussing. Hard leads get right to the point. They share a few of the 5 W's and an H briefly, delivering the most crucial information about the situation first. The soft lead allows for a bit more creative freedom. The need for information isn't really as urgent here, so it has more of a storytelling feel than a report, like the former. Either way, a lead shouldn't be too lengthy. Around 30 words will do. It should draw readers in with interesting bits and a hook. The lead is the top of what is known as the inverted pyramid. This is a journalistic strategy for setting up a story in the most efficient way. The basic principle is that the most important information comes first, and it gets less and less important as it goes on. This makes it much easier to edit out unnecessary segments as well, because they will all be found at the end, rather than being mixed in with everything else. As stated previously, the lead comes first. It has all the need-to-know aspects of a story. After this comes the body. It goes much deeper into the situation than the lead can. In here you will find details, background, quotes, images, and evidence that really contribute to conveying information. After this you'll find the tail. That's where all the extra leftover details are placed. These bits were important enough to make it into the story, but not quite important enough to make it into the other top portions. Obviously, this little video isn't a whole journalism class, so it's not the most complete guide in the world, but it's something. So yeah, hope this how to format your news article tutorial helps. Goodbye.